Jonathan Reed. At last we meet. The cards warned me you would visit tonight.
I beg your pardon, sir. Do I know you?
Of course you do. Our mutual friend, Dr. Swansea, can't speak highly enough of you. My name is Usher. Usher Talltree.
You are the leader of the Brotherhood, are you not?
Primate of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole, to be precise. I'm really glad we met tonight. I love it when the cards tell me a truth.
The cards told you to expect me.
Yes, they can tell me everything. They told me that you have not taken another life since your poor sister died.
What can you tell me about the neighborhood?
I really don't know. I don't often go outside. And when I do, it's usually to quite distant destinations.
So you see nothing in the stars for me? You're a poor fortune teller, then?
Oh, I can tell you many things, but they will only concern you, not the city. For example, I know that you offered your sister the final rest she asked for.
Do the cards speak of my Mary?
No. It's the burning aura of guilt that precedes you everywhere you go.
Read my fortune, then.
You have been chosen, Jonathan. I see on you the mark of a strong being, so powerful it needn't even reveal its strength.
Tell me about yourself. What do you do here, besides turning cards in the middle of the night?
I'm for most a charlatan. For a few, I'm a vampire. And for you, I'm the primate of St. Paul's Stole.
Some believe you to be a vampire. Who?
The Guard of Priwen, who else? For a time, they sent spies to observe my activities, and they even broke into my home to gather proof.
Did they steal anything from you?
A personal notebook they quickly took to their headquarters. All they had to do is to look at me. I'm aging. What better and definite proof that I'm not an immortal?
Do you want your notebook back?
If you ever find it, I'd be glad to have it back, of course. I do ask one thing, though. Do not read it, Jonathan. Some secrets are not meant to be revealed, even to immortals.
For how long have you been a primate?
It was 15 years last year.
What do you make of Dr. Swansea?
Edgar is a brilliant and dedicated man. A man of his time, sometimes a little muddled, but always looking for new paths and new concepts.
Can you read the cards for me?
Are you sure you want to know what they will reveal?
Yes, I am.
It will cost you 150 shillings.
Here is the money.
The glutton. A man who just eats life as a cake. A righteous ego, surprised to fall in love.
Goodbye, sir. Until we meet again.
I rarely wander, yet it amuses me to converse with your kind.
Good evening, miss. Can I help you? I'm a doctor. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
I am Karina Billow. I don't need any doctor. The rats. Where are the rats?
Miss, you don't seem well at all. Are you afraid of rats? Has one bitten you?
No, it's me who bites them. Tasty, juicy, disgusting rats. I can't stop eating them. Help me, please. Help me to disobey the voice.
What happened to you?
The rats. The answer hides in their little crunchy bones, their juicy, tiny brains.
Miss Billow, please, try to concentrate. Why do you worry about rats so much?
The voice in my head. He forces me to do so. Drink their blood, he said. Eat their flesh.
Do you feel compelled to obey that voice, Miss Billow, even if you're loath to submit to it?
Yes. Please. Help.
Tell me about the voice in your head. Who is it? Can you describe it? Is it someone you know, someone you met?
Keep your mouth shut, he said. Don't ever speak about me, or I'll abandon you. Help me, please. Please, Doctor.
What is the local news hereabouts, Miss Billow?
Shadows. Shadows hunting shadows. Whispers in the dark. Pestilence. Suffering. Death.
Tell me about yourself, Miss Billow. What do you do for a living?
Oh, I'm hungry. Need to eat. Have you got something for me? Blood, perhaps? Can you give me blood, Dr. Reed?
Don't you remember who you are, miss? What you did for work?
I was strong, proud. I campaigned for good causes. But that was before. Before. It does not matter anymore. I'm so hungry.
Welcome back to my humble shelter, Dr. Reed. Are you here to subdue me again?
No, Sean. I just came by to see how you are.
I feel all right. Why'd you ask?
Are you still feeding on corpses?
No. It's almost as though the blood you forced me to drink has provided me eternal satisfaction.
How is the sanitary situation in this part of town?
I think it's acceptable. Fewer cases of sickness recently. I thank the Lord for his mercy.
How are things in your shelter? Between the mortals and the immortals, I mean.
Even if we're all children of God, I've always maintained a strict frontier between the two communities.
What do you fear?
A few years ago, a Skal decided to pay a nocturnal visit to my sleeping customers. He got caught licking their necks in the dark. Since then, I have added a lock to the door.
What if food became scarce? Wouldn't the immortals in your flock be tempted to feed on the living? Wouldn't you?
The Skals can feed on the dead, Doctor. And until Judgment Day, mortals will continue dying.
Have you seen Harriet Jones since taking her to Old Bridget?
No. She is with the sewer Skals now. I don't go downstairs.
What happened at the Pembroke?
I guess we recognized each other. As Skals, I mean. She had but one thought. To punish. To get revenge upon everything and everyone. I realized I had to bring her here quickly.
But why did she fake her own death? There was so much blood in her room. She attacked patients, too.
I just lost her for a minute that night. When I found her, she had caused mayhem across the hospital. I slapped some sense into her, and we fled before getting caught.
What happened then?
We ran here through narrow streets and backyards. She kept saying that someone was talking to her in the dark, offering to avenge her. But I saw nobody.
How did you meet Old Bridget?
When younger, I used to patrol the streets at night, searching for lost souls. This is how I met her. It took me 2 months just to get her name. Now we support each other.
Had you already visited their hideout in the sewers?
Just once, and very briefly. Most of them are very discreet, and they see me as an outsider, even if I protect them.
You really are a saint, Sean.
Oh, no, sir, I'm not. But I know evil, and I believe goodwill and tenacity can make this world a better place.
Would you let me listen to your chest, Sean?
No, Dr. Reed. You already forced me to drink your blood, and I thank you for that, for I feel better now. But it was quite an unpleasant experience.
It would help me greatly if you would allow me to give you a physical examination.
I said no. I'm no subject of medical examination, and I intend only to obey and to kneel before God.
Farewell, Sean. Take good care of your flock, and of yourself. Good evening, young man.
There's no need to call me that, Dr. Reed.
Have you heard anything recently concerning Sean Hampton's shelter?
He keeps investing time helping the poor and sick. Good for him. And for them.
Are you feeling worried about the sanitary situation in London?
This city is falling apart. The disease kills so many people. No one cares about anything or anyone anymore but themselves.
So, Dr. Tippets, what brings you back here? We haven't talked in quite some time.
Have you heard...
I've never...
Goodbye.
So, Dr. Tippets, what brings you back here? We haven't talked in quite some time.
Miss Gillingham, why did you give Martin Nightingale the watch I returned to you?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I suppose I thought he needed a watch more than I did. I have no reason to really keep track of time anymore.
Why don't you need to keep track of time?
I've spent my entire life marching to the tick of clocks and the ringing of bells. At my age, it's nice to finally be rid of those burdens. On my time.
But it was your son's watch, Miss Gillingham.
It was, wasn't it? I'm relieved you found it. Besides, it's more useful to him anyway.
Good evening, sir. I'm glad to see you safe.
I am not safe. I should never have come back here. My life is in danger. I know it.
You're much safer here than in that contaminated area.
Bullets kill people quicker than diseases and epidemics, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about this district?
The East End Docks only knows one rule. Dog eat dog, and blood calls for blood. The gang will have their revenge on me one way or another.
What can you tell me about the locals?
Most people would say that Sean Hampton and Tom Watts are good men who try to sort things out. But for me, the real boss around there was my best friend, Jack Gillingham.
Jack Gillingham, you say?
Everyone round there knew Jack. He was a rock. A mountain even. He feared nothing.
Your friend Jack has something to do with you fleeing to the contaminated area where I found you. I want to know more.
Jack is dead. That's all you need to know. Dead because of me. So much violence. So much sorrow. All of that because I refused to be insulted again.
No man can predict the exact outcome of his actions. It's the curse we have to live with. We can only gamble and do what we think is best.
Perhaps you're right. The district was doomed before I was born. But I cannot stop myself thinking that Jack died for me.
Why do you say that?
After I killed that gang member, the Wet Boot Boy suspected Jack. And being loyal and all, he did not refute the accusation.
You are not going to spend the rest of your life hiding, Rodney. What are you planning to do?
Honestly, I have no idea. How am I supposed to live while so many have suffered because of me?
Only you can answer that question. But one thing is certain. Since you owe Jack your life, I think it's fair to live it in a way that would make him proud.
That's the kind of thing Jack could have said, Dr. Reed. Thank you for that. I believe you're a good guy too.
The death of your friend has affected you deeply, hasn't it?
Jack Gillingham was the real deal. He believed we could change the world if we were united and focused enough. And he brought out the best in each of us.
You're right. He died to save you. That alone gives me an idea of the kind of man he was.
He was the bravest. And no one dares to say openly that he got killed by those bastards.
Your friend's plan was audacious, if not reckless. No one stands up by themselves to a gang like the Wet Boot Boys.
How dare you say that? You never met him.
Do you have recent news of Sean Hampton's shelter?
I heard he kept on helping people. But I tried to stay away from his shelter. I don't feel safe there.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
Not really. I've spent so many days hiding to escape retaliation from the Wet Boot Boys. Now that there's so much chaos, they might forget about me.
Do you need help, Mr. Grader?
I'm fine, Doctor. I suppose that means I'll die a healthy man.
Goodbye, Mr. Grader. Take care. Good evening, Mr. Throgmorton.
Dr. Reed, can I be of any assistance? Have you noticed anything suspicious lately?
Have you heard any rumors regarding Sean Hampton's shelter?
The sad saint will always be a target for vampires, but I'm keeping an eye out.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
It seems the Guard of Priwen has declared war on vampires. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, though.
Really? I thought you'd be thrilled by this news.
The Guard can be reckless. They rush into a fight without thinking. The citizens of London should not be the collateral victims.
Welcome back, Doctor. What can I do for you?
Tell me about your arrest for attempted murder, Tom.
I tried to kill someone. I got arrested. I paid my debt and I have nothing to hide.
So you mean your customers know about your sordid past?
Yeah, why do you think this is the last pub open? I have nothing to hide and I don't judge. That's a relief for many round here.
Do you think prison changed you? Made you a better man?
Oh, I don't know about that. All I brought back is bad memories, scars, and an ugly tattoo of a blue turtle.
But do you feel cleansed of your sins?
All I know is that I'm at peace. I did what I did, but I wouldn't do it again. Does that make me a better man? I don't know.
You attempted murder. Give me some details.
I was given an order to kill. I was an obedient gang member at the time, a proud, wet boot boy.
Why did you join the gang?
Because I finally felt useful. Do you have any idea what it means to feel respected when the rest of the world shits on you?
So you were ordered to kill someone. What happened then?
I don't know if you can possibly understand, but I couldn't kill him. I just stood there pointing my gun. Someone saw me. I gave up.
Why couldn't you shoot?
My target was eating in that fancy restaurant with mirrors and music. He was eating, drinking, laughing. He was having such a good time. I hated him for his bottomless appetite and easy life of easy pickings. And then something happened.
You refused to kill him because you wanted to feel some of that happiness yourself. You empathized with him.
Exactly. The man was a bloody landlord who rented overpriced flats. A selfish bastard. But he made me smile. And I was no different from him.
Why not leave town and start a new life after you got out of jail?
I grew up in the East End. This is where my roots are. This is where I want to help others and die, eventually.
Do you think the docks will always be a hive of scum and villainy?
As long as poverty and fear run the show, I don't see how it would change. Misery loves company, as they say.
Don't you feel threatened, staying in such a violent and criminal neighborhood?
I've made peace with my violent past, Dr. Reed. I may not be a pacifist, but I'm not angry anymore.
Have you got any recent news on Sean Hampton's shelter?
It's still there, just like the turquoise turtle. That means there is still hope, somehow.
Are you concerned about the sanitary situation?
It may surprise you, but I'm not. I've heard about the men-at-arms and the fights between gangs at night, but that's nothing new.
I wish I shared your optimism.
It's not optimism. Gangs have been fighting in this part of town since before I was born. This war will stop when enough blood has been spilled.
You still working at this hour? That's what I call dedication.
Tell me, Sabrina, do you really believe Tom has renounced his life of crime?
He proves it to me every day he tells the truth. Tom Watts is a good man. One of the best.
And you don't think he might fall back into his sordid ways?
We can all do terrible things, Dr. Reed. And we never know what we're really capable of until it's too late.
Sabrina, tell me about your true feelings for your boss.
I love Tom. Not ashamed of it. Don't care if the customers joke about it, neither.
Who's mocking you?
I mean, we're always together. People will talk, won't they?
Does Tom love you?
Yeah, but he's always reluctant to take it further. It's not because I'm younger, or because of the colour of my skin. He hates jokes about us.
Have you heard anything about Sean Hampton's shelter?
I was told he caught a deadly disease, but survived against all odds. Maybe he really is touched by grace.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation?
Of course I am. Everywhere's deserted, houses, streets all empty. People buying guns. We hear them go off every night. It's bloody frightening.
Were you aware of Tom's past incarceration?
That's the first thing he told me when he offered me the job. He didn't want me hearing about his past from anyone else.
Did it surprise you to find out about it?
Not really. I was already aware of his reputation before I met him. That's why I came to the Turtle in the first place.
Most people would have run away because of that.
Not me. I thought a man like him could give me stability, you know? At least to some degree. And I wasn't mistaken.
Do you require medical assistance, Miss Cavendish?
I'm fine, sir. Just have too much work on and not enough sleep.
Good evening, Mr. Delaney.
What? Ah, you're a doctor.
Is there anything in particular that you like about this part of town? Except for the cheap drinks, I mean.
How dare you say such a thing? I love this neighborhood. So friendly, so joyful.
Why? Good evening, Mr. Delaney.
What? Oh, you're that doctor.
Is it true Sean Hampton saved your life?
Yeah. The sad saint grabbed my soggy ass and brought me back to the pier after I fell into the canal. I was a wreck back then.
Were you thankful for what he did for you?
Sean Hampton really acted like a saint that day. But I suppose I'm just another lost soul who doesn't deserve to be saved.
Do you have any recent news of Sean Hampton's shelter?
I still sleep over there from time to time. A sad saint still manages the place, even if he's a little bit more reclusive since he returned.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
More contagion, more despair, more guns and more dead. More alcohol.
Inebriation aside, do you need medical help?
I already drink the only medicine that suits me, Doctor.
You again. What do you want?
Tell me about the man you killed, Booth. What happened?
One of us had been killed, so we had to retaliate. That's the whole story.
There has to be more to it than that.
No, really, one of us got killed, so the killer had to die. That's how things have always been done round here. No one gives a shit.
Are you so heartless that you could pull the trigger and kill someone without even blinking?
Have you looked around recently? Do you really think one more body will make a difference?
Do you know Edwina suspects you to be unfaithful?
Edwina's the one who asked to be called Mrs. Cox, even though Clay hadn't touched her for such a long time.
You have not answered my question.
She's a passionate woman. I've no doubt she'll shoot me down if I ever betray her, but that's not going to happen. I love her as she is.
Good evening, sir. I'm amazed you made it back to the docks alone. Good for you.
Well, I could say the same about you, young man. More to the point, who the hell are you?
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
And I am Archer Woodbead. Please excuse my assertiveness. I often forget I'm just an old prune.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
People used to feel safe around here. They had the gangs protecting them. Now all they do is bicker and plot against one another.
Missing the good old days, are you not?
Trust me, son. The longer you live, the less meaning your existence will have. You need to remember the days you still had beliefs.
And what about the gangs?
Back in my day, people trusted the wet boot boys. We looked out for the docks and its families. Nowadays, they're just a bunch of greedy fuckers.
You were a gang member.
I was their leader for a time, believe it or not. Now these bastards act like I'm nothing. Not one of them. They owe me some damn respect.
If you were such a respected figure, surely you have many interesting stories about this part of town.
You bet I do, but make no mistake. I'm no rat, sir. Some secrets are best left buried.
Do you still know anyone? From the old days, I mean.
Most of them are dead. I still give Miss Gillingham salutations. She doesn't remember me. She did once like me. Boy, she was a beauty back then.
Any remarkable new faces around here?
Nobody. Well, there's that boy Rufus the Curse. I like him, despite the reputation he's made since his parents died. Poor little bastard.
Who would you trust around here?
The owner of the Turquoise Turtle's a decent fella. Tom's his name. Sean Hampton's all right too. Don't particularly share his religious views. He's quite devout, if you catch my meaning.
I'm sure a district as colorful as the docks must have plenty of stories about strange visitors and creepy characters.
So, you want me to talk about the sewer dog, don't you?
If you don't mind.
The sewer dog is a bitch. Appropriately named, an old woman dressed in rags. She has an elegance, though, despite her ugliness. I saw her once. Scared the life out of me.
Have you always been so bitter?
It's not bitterness, it's poorly masked disgust. When everything turns to shit, we all have to eat a spoon or two.
As a practitioner, I believe science will provide a new standard of welfare. It's just a matter of time.
I'd like to believe you, Doctor. But recently all science has been good for is mustard gas and machine guns.
But what about social progress? What about women getting the right to vote? Things can change for the better.
I've never voted, not once. And my wife, God rest her soul, she was too busy taking care of the kids to vote.
Tell me about the Wet Boot Boys, Archer. I want to know more.
We were there for the families and each other. It was us against the world. We were vicious, tough, even cruel. But we were united.
You sound like you were some kind of radical union member.
Yes, nowadays the communists and gangs squabble over pointless territory. Sounds stupid when you say it out loud.
Tell me everything you know about the Guard of Priwen.
Andrew never told me what they do. I do know they're vigilantes with military training. Access to some impressive firepower.
And what is your personal opinion about the Guard, then?
This Guard of Priwen is just another gang preying on the young and naive. Preying on people like my boy.
I know how it works. I invented it.
Why did your son really join the Guard of Priwen?
If I believed in a higher power, I'd see this as punishment for my own sins. I deserve it for all the young men I enlisted back in the day.
You don't believe in God, though, do you, Mr. Woodbead? So why did he join?
Now I think about it, Andrew joined the Guard, not to defy me, but to follow in my footsteps, to make me proud.
So your son has left you nothing to explain his actions? No letter or message?
Not even a note. I'm a proud man, Dr. Reed. But I would kneel and pray if I thought it would give me my Andrew back.
Do you have any recent news on Sean Hampton's shelter?
The man is still here. He's trying to help others despite the terrible things he endured. I'm impressed.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
I never thought I'd live to see the last days of London. Just another thing I was wrong about, I suppose.
Goodbye, sir. Good evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. What do you want?
I managed to reach the mass grave in Southwark. It was not pleasant.
Spare me the details, Dr. Reed. All I want to know is what happened to those bastards who owed me money.
I'm afraid those bastards, as you call them, are in the mass grave.
Dead? Shit. That money would have been useful. Well, I'll tell my boys to avoid the place if it's that dangerous.
Yes. Everybody should avoid that place until further notice.
Okay then, Doctor. It looks like you deserve your reward after all. The Wet Boot Boys thank you for your help.
Hello, Jonathan. Back from the city already? How is the situation over there?
Tense, to say the least.
I'm sure every obstacle will cede to your relentless determination. In the meantime, can I be of any help?
What can you tell me about Lord Redgrave?
Oh, the legendary founder of the Ascalon Club. I'm afraid I cannot help you with that, Jonathan.
So you do know him?
All the Brotherhood knows about him is highly confidential. He is dangerously intimate with the royal family and Britain's inner circles.
Are you afraid of him? Is he that dangerous?
No, but since most ancient vampires were killed or fled England during the Great Hunt of 1850, he may be the oldest British vampire. A myth in the flesh, so to speak.
What can you tell me about the Great Hunt?
A sad story, my dear friend. Tragic, in fact. The Brotherhood was betrayed by some of its most trusted members.
Why was it a tragedy?
Not only did the Guard of Priwen hunt down and kill most ancient vampires of England, they also destroyed or confiscated their possessions. Priceless knowledge was lost in just a few nights.
Tell me about the betrayal.
The founders of the Guard of Priwen stole precious and unique documents and reports from the Brotherhood's library when they left. They used them to identify and locate their next targets.
Did you know that Lady Ashbury is an artist? And rather a good one?
Well, actually, yes. I attended an exhibition of her paintings before the war. Beautiful landscapes and stunning portraits. I wish I'd purchased one.
Perhaps we could go to her next exhibition, you and I.
What a beautiful idea, Jonathan. Did you know she told me once she had been a model for famous painters? But she never told me which ones.
I shall return later. Thank you, Edgar.
Hello again, Jonathan. To what do I owe the pleasure of your visit?
Sorry to disturb you again, but could you spare me a few minutes?
Of course, my dear. Always a pleasure to speak with you.
Concerning your investigation,
Yes?
are you truly seeking to identify my maker?
I cannot promise you anything, but yes. I am conducting some research of my own.
Do you think we shall ever see better days? Or at least, better nights?
I know not, Jonathan. I have seen some horrid days in my long lifetime. Experience has taught me that one cannot outrun the fates.
When all of this is over, the war and the epidemic, we could leave the city for a while. Travel around Europe, you and I.
Traveling is always so complicated for us poor creatures of the night. But yes, I would be glad to travel the world with you, my dear.
Will you tell me your story one day, Lady Ashbury?
One of them, perhaps. I have had so many lives, Jonathan. Eternity may not be enough to relate them all.
Do you know if the epidemic has affected many people in the West End?
I confess I've been more concerned by events in the East End. The wealthy have more efficient ways of dealing with infection.
But this is no common epidemic.
That is true. I must tell my daughter to stay at home for a few days, but the girl is stubborn and fiercely independent, much like her mother.
Good evening, miss.
Oh my god, no. Please, Mr. Vampire, don't kill me. Please, no. I'm too young to die. I still have so much to offer this world.
Wait, no. Why do you think I would... What?
Don't worry, Dr. Reed. I know you wouldn't harm me. Mother told me you were in this part of town and might drop by.
Your mother?
My name is Charlotte, sir. Charlotte Ashbury. My mother taught me long ago how to recognize the signs that betray a vampire.
I understand she also taught you how to tease and gently mock innocent young Ekons. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Charlotte. What do you think about this part of town?
I was raised here, and I suppose it feels like home. You grew up in this part of town too, did you not?
Yes, I was born a few streets away.
A small world, is it not? Did you ever imagine that my mother was your neighbor all that time? That you could have met her in a dark alley at night?
You won't trick me twice, young lady. We both know Lady Ashbury never hunts or attacks prey at random.
Come on, Doctor. Don't tell me you never thought about that possibility. Her fangs on your neck. Oh, are you blushing, Dr. Reed?
Is there something that's bothering you?
Too much selfishness and individualism for my taste. Even when there was no epidemic.
Even if that's partly true, may I remind you that many charitable institutions are financed by the selfish and filthy rich.
I suppose you're right. But society must reform and renew itself, or we are all done for.
Tell me about your adoption.
What do you want to know?
Who are your real parents?
Elizabeth Ashbury is my real mother. She raised me and has taken care of me all my life. I have no idea who my progenitors are or were.
Do you live with her?
I still spend a lot of time in my mother's mansion, but I have my own house now. I have a life to live, you see. And one day, I'll have my death to face.
How did you meet Lady Ashbury?
First, I was an orphan in the institution for girls she manages in the West End. When I was 10, she adopted me, and I have lived with her ever since.
Did you know she was a vampire when she picked you?
The correct word is Ekon, Doctor. And no, I had no idea why my mother only showed up at night. She told me everything when I turned 16, though I suspected the truth for a long time before that.
What are you doing out here?
You mean, what do I do outside at night since I am a woman? Let me ask you a question, sir. Would you ask the same question of a man?
Actually, yes. I ask the same question to everyone who dares to go outside at night, considering the risks.
Well, if you must know, I campaign for the right to vote for all women. Why should I wait to the age of 30 years when men can vote at 21?
Are you a suffragette, then? Oh, you really are Elizabeth's girl. Without a doubt.
All adult women have the right to vote in the US, in New Zealand, and in Australia. But women here can't vote unless they are property owners.
No need to convince me, Miss Charlotte. I have shared your opinion for a long time. Even before I met Emmeline Pankhurst.
Really? Oh. Now I see why my mother appreciates you so much. Too bad there aren't more men like you in the vicinity.
How are the locals reacting to your claims?
People here can't wait for a wall to be built to isolate the West End from the rest of town. That's how progressive they are. If this happens, Emily and I will blow it up.
Explosives are very dangerous, young lady. And who is this Emily?
She is my best friend, and a suffragette too. She was supposed to campaign with me tonight, but hasn't turned up.
Have you any reason to be worried about her?
Recently, Emily started to believe in... well, she got interested in vampires. I'm afraid she might be in trouble.
Let me guess. You spoke to her about us, didn't you? Despite your mother's warning. I think I should try to find your friend.
Oh, that would be top-notch. I can tell you where she might have gone. You have my thanks, Dr. Reed. And please, don't tell my mother.
What exactly has your mother told you about me?
Your name and profession, obviously. And the mystery about your maker. I'm sorry to hear about what happened to your sister, sir. Mother says it was not your fault.
Does it not scare you to know what I am? What your mother is?
Why should it? My mother is the most compassionate woman. Must I be wary of her, Dr. Reed? Or you?
Of course not. You have nothing to fear from me, or your mother.
Good to know. And don't worry, my mother told me everything I need to know about vampire tricks, their nature as well as features.
Your mother is not like any other vampire I've met.
I believe she thinks the same about you, Dr. Reed.
Why do you still hope to become a vampire, in spite of your mother's refusal?
It's the immortal aspect of vampires that interests me. The world won't improve unless women take charge. I'm convinced of that.
You're obviously a clever woman with a good education and a brilliant future. But have you thought about the price you'd have to pay? The loneliness, the necessary masquerade.
Is it not true of every high position? To change this world and make it a better place, one needs time on one's side.
Your mother has refused to turn you into a vampire. Tell me more about it.
Each time we argue, Mother expresses the same fear. She wants me to remain alive and full of joy, rather than become melancholy and immortal. She claims you can't have one without the other. It's pure selfishness.
It's your mother's choice. As daughters and sons, we have to accept the decisions our parents make for us despite our own wishes.
I love my mother, and have accepted everything from her. Even that she named me Charlotte, when it was not my original name.
Does it bother you?
No. Whoever I was when I was born, I am now Charlotte Ashbury. It hurts as much as it makes me proud to know that's the name my mother will read on my tombstone.
Your mother has walked this earth for much longer than you or I. She is wise, and we should not ignore her advice when we disagree with it.
But why shouldn't I be allowed to forge my own experience? There can't be only one righteous way to deal with eternity.
Do you know why Lady Ashbury chose you to become her daughter?
No, I don't. Each time I ask her that question, she smiles and says it's precisely because I dare to ask such questions.
Do you ever regret that she chose you?
Of course not. Though I often wonder if she adopted others before me. If so, where are they buried? How was it for them to pass through life with a never-aging mother?
Tell me, Charlotte, how do you plan to achieve eternal life? Since you've obviously given it a lot of thought.
I won't give up. You have no idea how determined I am, sir. I may contract a deadly disease. I may throw myself under a carriage just to be saved by her sweet kiss.
That's a disturbing answer, young lady. And the worst part of it is, I know you speak the truth.
There are less dangerous ways, Doctor. Instead of throwing myself under a horse like Emily Davison, I could just throw myself into your arms.
Stop playing this game at once, Charlotte. This is unworthy of you, of your mother, and of myself.
I'm sorry, Dr. Reed. Please forgive me. That was stupid.
Goodbye, Charlotte. Give my best regards to your mother when you see her.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.